I played Where Winds Meet for the first time ever. Massive eastern explorable world, massive cinematic boss fights, massive price tag of exactly $0. There's gotta be a catch, right? Well, that's what I had to go find out. After downloading the massive 99GB file, and a nearly 2-minute setup time for fancy shaders, we finally jump in. Now, I knew nothing about this game, besides it was free-to-play, wushu Chinese fantasy game, so my first real impression was, what the heck is exploration mode? If you've spent any time playing open world games, you've definitely felt the pain of having too many markers messing with your immersion, so the game, in a nice touch, actually lets you decide how much adventure handholding you'll get. But the next decision is even more confusing. Select a control mode, ARPG or MMO. Supposedly, it mainly changes how you move your camera, but the screenshot also shows a completely different control scheme. And since I've never dared to play an ARPG on mouse and keyboard, I'll roll with MMO controls. There's the much more obvious difficulty selection. And finally, the easiest decision, play in a shared world or be a little loner loser. I'm not even gonna read the other one. And finally, our first cutscene. Again, I had no idea what this game was really about, so when the cutscene breaks down and you get thrust into a horseback riding scene armed with tons of QuickTime events, which eventually breaks down into an on-rails shooting segment, I was completely lost on what the heck I was playing. It's not until meeting our first real enemy, the Void King, and seeing the words combat tutorial that things really start to fall into place. Next to our HP bar is our Chi bar, which when depleted will leave you completely vulnerable. There's a lock-on system for enemies, you attack with Q. Okay, that's more than likely just the MMO control scheme, but what we have here is some sort of Souls-like MMO ability-based combat system with Sekiro-like posture breaking for critical effect. And while I'm sure I just made a ton of people angry with that description, I mean, come on, man, it's got the Sekiro deflection system with colored attacks signifying which can be reflected and which have to be dodged. Beyond our basic martial skills, we have powerful mystic spells, which really ham up the Chinese fantasy elements. My favorite being this bell gong attack. Speaking of hammed up fantasy, it really tickles me that the preview window showcases a pretty Chinese man wielding some sort of oversized umbrella. Obviously, Sekiro isn't known for being the most accessible of games, so outside of difficulty, there's also a cool assist system if you're so inclined. But as a certified gamer, I know what I must do. But I have a bit of a confession. I've never actually played Sekiro before. But remember the Void King we saw earlier? And this is where everything finally clicks. This is honestly one of my favorite tutorial bosses in any game I've reviewed. He's got a good mix of moves, letting you experiment with each of the defensive options. But the best part is that even though he's quick, he really isn't that punishing. Mix that with a focus on breaking chi with proper attacks and deflects, and you have a great tutorial fight that doesn't really waste your time with death resets. I also had some really great moments, like when I got hard punished for committing to the almighty bell attack. The defeat of the Void King sends us down a psychotic trip with tons of people, places, and things, and ending with a little time skip. Such a long time skip, in fact, that our character has changed genders. Okay, that's not quite right. We were actually the infant we were harboring throughout the tutorial section. But now on to my favorite part of any video game, character creation. And I gotta say, looking at these presets, I think they hit it out of the park. Look, you know you're in for a ride when the character creator has the morph highlights showing on each part of the face, and there are parts of the human body you've never heard of in the menus. But anytime you have this many sliders, you know you can pull off some great creations. Enter the gallery, where you can see and automatically apply the face changes made by other players. From big forehead John Wick, to the other half of the, we might have given the players too much freedom spectrum, SpongeBob. Look, I'm not gonna pretend like I understand everything going on here, and I'm pretty sure the only difference between realistic and elegant is whether you want to be human-colored or ghost-colored. But the real winner in the entire creation process is the Smart Customization tab, where it'll auto-generate a character for you based on either your own recorded voice line,
The Jade Warrior who fights the flowers in blue.
or, if you're willing to waive off all your privacy rights, auto-generate a character based on an uploaded picture. Which of course gives me the extraordinary opportunity and excuse to see what I would look like if I was gender bent and Chinese. But since I only have one day to play and review, I decide to roll with the auto-generated Wushu version of myself. The next cutscene has us jumped by a man in black looking to steal our jade pendant. You know, the one with our name engraved in plain text. And as soon as we are awoken by Little Miss Ruby, we officially begin the open world experience. But I have to note, the English voice acting in this game is a little awkward. Not just because my character sometimes has this really weird stuffy undertone,
It's gone. He took the jade pendant.
but also the voice lines kind of just interrupt each other.
You said there was a man in black? So,
Forget
like,
it.
Where is
It's
he?
nothing. Just a dream.
By investigating the very pretty scenery, we can discover more about the main story, find and put on weirdo masks to scare away the hoes, or unlock teleport waypoints for our future travels. Now as we cross this bridge, we get a return to the QTEs from earlier, but since it isn't life or death anymore, I decide to let this one run out, and that's disappointing.
Sure you can, Hero and Ruby.
And now for the single most important shot in any open world game, the see that mountain over there? You can climb it shot. Unfortunately, our sightseeing is interrupted by a bird-hating archer, but on my way to confront him, I get a little sidetracked by random pebbles on the ground because I'm a filthy hoarder. He serves as the archery tutorial, and with the ancient Chinese technique of slow down time, we can win our little bird hunting competition.
You're so good at this.
But now the open world really begins. But remember how I toggled multiplayer social mode on at the start? Well, here's the first sign.
Been odd in Tsinghua.
Little messages left behind by other players with equal parts helpful commentary and questionable messages. Our Wayfarer here, and all Wayfarers from now on, will award us parts of the world map as we explore. But truth be told, the bear in the back was really grabbing my attention, so why don't we open world exploration our way over to him? Now you might have noticed, unlike the tutorial, I don't have that many available skills. But here we have our first way of learning them, by observing nature. We all know, of course, that the ancient Chinese learned the art of Tai Chi through imitating the natural instincts of bears. As a skill though, Tai Chi lets us pick up enemies and toss them like a ragdoll. To be honest, the progression systems are a little bit convoluted. For example, this vendor teaches you new weapons, or maybe weapon skills, and each weapon has its own skill tree, which is completely distinct from the talent tree. It's a tad bit overwhelming, but luckily it doesn't impede the gameplay loop of beating up on random overworld dwellers for loot. On my way to the general shrine, we get interrupted by these two gentlemen in a hurry, and at first I proceed past until I see retrieve the stolen horse, and one aggressive chase down later, and bam, I have myself a mount. But entering the shrine is where things really get interesting, as we find ourselves thrust into a local tournament. You know you're in for it when the game hits you with, this dude is relentless, maybe you want to turn on assist mode. But not me. All we have to do is empty his chi bar 5 times before he empties ours 5 times. Easy enough, right? And as if adding insult to injury, the game hits me with, maybe study basic combat first. But I'm no quitter. Finally, I win, and my prize,
Last one. No need to rush. Huh?
I get scammed.
This.
But the shrine isn't all scams. This frog teaches me how to leap. We get our first talent points. And this haphazard rock pile leads me to my first dungeon. This dungeon makes it very clear just how useful the bow can be. Able to burn away wooden obstacles, light up dark environments, and of course, blow up red barrels. Mini-boss tries to stop me, but at this point I'm more or less a master of parrying, so back to the surface. Our next objective is to go visit our aunt, who is quite far away, giving us a ton of time to mess around in the open world. Of course, the easiest way to measure a game's quality is to find out if the fishing minigame is any good. Different baits for different fish, move your mouse left and right to keep the fish on the line, another banger minigame for a so far banger game. As we make our way down the scenic Chinese countryside, I find a nice photo shoot spot. Of course, it's got every slider and control option you could ever ask for, so as I slide the aperture down for that nice background blur, I guess I'll say it, this is a very pretty game. I'm just not really sure why they had to add the like the video watermark. Now the long journey does reveal tons of fun side activities, like this, to be fair, very realistic identity theft scammer that we must expose through a persuasion minigame. And maybe I'm just not built for modern gaming, because this minigame's got hands. First off, my opponent starts slinging words at me while I'm still reading through the tutorial. It's a card battler with this speech bubble resource system, but pretty much nothing is explained. Sometimes these circles appear over text that can be opened for bonus effects. One card has a chance to increase the chance of something called the trash talk. And even though I spam away whatever cards I can read and fire off all the optional bubbles, I'm still falling behind. And as if I wasn't panicking hard enough, the game goes into overdrive, leading to the inevitable defeat. But just like the sword duel from earlier, I've learned enough to give it a genuine second shot, and would you believe me if I told you I lost a second time? Luckily, not even 5 seconds down the road, there was another card-based minigame in the form of healing. This one is actually turn-based, so I have time to read through all my cards. Also, each of my cards does like 100 damage instead of the paltry 5 and 10s I was doing in the other. Needless to say, Unk has still got it. Now we're about 2 hours in, and I still haven't seen a single hand over your wallet, idiot, it's microtransaction time. That is, until the Battle Pass. I won't even really critique it. It's just a standard battle pass. You gotta make money somehow. Now you may have noticed I haven't really talked about the story, and that's because it's mostly set up for mysterious characters that after one day aren't really fleshed out enough.
Killer Blade is a man.
So here's the not so accurate abridged version. Our strict Auntie Han runs a storefront that serves drinks. I don't even want to read the player messages left in front of her. Then this mysterious woman flirts with us and Auntie Han.
Right.
I'm not even joking, the developers added like a whole minute worth of charged conversation. We get sent to check in on our delayed pottery delivery, but find everyone massacred,
Better check it out.
including me. And now I'm kidnapped. Luckily, there is a very safe ghost temple that I can escape to. Unfortunately, Auntie Han has a habit of disappearing, and our schizophrenic friend here has an idea.
Madam Han must be a ghost.
It starts with investigating a doctor friend of Auntie Han, and after jumping headfirst into a well, we're now in Resident Evil. And I'm not even joking, I'm not even sure you can kill these things. They don't even have a health bar. So, it's time to navigate the darkness, cheese clunky enemy AI, nearly get murdered for the first time, and unfortunately at this point I have my first honest to God complaint after about 3 hours. As I desperately waltz around this chasm with 0 HP and an angry guy following, I can't seem to heal. I have a ton of these healing items, restore maximum HP, but the consume button doesn't seem to actually do anything. Turns out, for me to heal, I have to use the quick items command. But why even have the option to consume in the first place? Now, over 3 hours in, I told myself this was the last dungeon for the day, and I couldn't have picked a better time to stop. Immediately, I hit a level cap, forcing me to undergo some sort of proficiency test to continue progressing my character. It's not the most exciting, with 3 waves of familiar enemies, though there was this one shielded guy, and turns out I'm not as proficient with the combat as I had once thought. Then the mysterious book offers yet another convoluted way to learn new abilities. At least they look really cool. Then we pass out, and I get exposed as a lore skipper, trying to move on to the next section without checking out the ghost visions that they had deliberately placed.
Don't fear death.
And finally, I am met with my final challenge for the first day. Who's got some new tricks? But just like any good Souls fight, we get a second phase. Now if you've played Elden Ring, you'll be familiar with this part. When do I get to attack? But with the combined might of hit and run, as well as a few guerrilla deflects, I get the bold, triumphant text, marking my victory. All that's left is return to the surface, witness the powerful aura of a player who may have spent a little too much money, and close the game. So where wins meet? Non-annoying free-to-play, quirky overworld exploration with Chinese references that I don't quite understand, and fun boss fights without the stress of 1 million attempts. So far. Where wins meet earns a, dude, it's completely free, just try it out of 10.
Same as you.
For more weird game reviews and impressions, make sure you click the video above, or you can support me directly on Patreon.